First Contact Initiative. The quantum sensors aboard the Nexian defense platform, Eternal Vigilance, lit up like a festival display. High Commander Zurich's crystalline form pulsed with waves of deep purple, a sign of intense concentration among their species. The vessel that had just emerged from the quantum fold was unlike anything in their database. Analysis, Zurich commanded, their voice resonating through the command center's crystalline architecture. Unknown configuration. High Commander reported First Observer Keela, her own crystalline form shifting between shades of green uncertainty. The vessel appears to be breathing. Indeed, the massive ship's outer hull seemed to pulse rhythmically, its surface rippling like liquid metal. What had initially appeared to be weapon ports were actually intricate patterns that shifted and flowed across its surface. The vessel was beautiful, terrifying, and completely alien to Nexian sensibilities. "It's broadcasting," announced communications specialist Ven. In perfect Nexian. To the esteemed leadership of the Nexian Confederation, the message began, its tone formal yet warm. "We are the Earth Diplomatic Corps vessel Handshake. We come seeking peaceful dialogue and mutual understanding." The command center fell silent. Earth, humans, the species that had been the subject of countless debates in the Confederation Council. For decades, they had detected fragments of human broadcasts, piecing together an understanding of a species that simultaneously terrified and fascinated them. A species that had evolved on a death world, whose very biology was forged in conditions that would kill most sentient life in the galaxy. "High Commander," Keela's voice wavered. "The vessel's hull. It's composed of billions of nanomachines. The entire ship is essentially one massive artificial organism." Zurichs felt their crystal matrix vibrate with tension. Human technology had always been reported as crude, primarily mechanical. This vessel suggested otherwise. Either their intelligence was severely outdated, or this was something else entirely. Additional contact. "High Commander." Ven's crystalline form flashed urgent red. Multiple quantum fold signatures detected at the system's edge. They're Void Hunter vessels. Zyrix's form darkened. The Void Hunters, mysterious raiders that had been striking remote colonies across multiple sectors. And now they were here, just as a human vessel appeared. The timing was too convenient to be coincidence. "The human vessel is transmitting again," Ven reported. They're requesting permission to assist in defense operations." Before Zurich could respond, the human ship's surface transformed. The flowing patterns crystallized into distinct geometric shapes, and what had appeared to be decorative elements realigned into unmistakable weapon arrays. The beautiful diplomatic vessel had become a warship in seconds. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Handshake," a new voice transmitted, calm but carrying an edge of steel. "We've been tracking these raiders for months. They've hit human colonies too. Let us help you defend this system." Zurich faced a decision that would reshape the future of their species. The Void Hunters had never attacked a core system before. Their presence here was unprecedented. The human vessel's transformation suggested capabilities far beyond what they had believed possible. Were they potential allies, or was this an elaborate trap? "High Commander," Keela interrupted their thoughts. "The Void Hunter vessels are launching attack craft. Their formation suggests they're preparing for a standard colony raid. Except this isn't a colony," Zurich finished. "This was a core system of the Nexian Confederation, home to billions. If the Void Hunters had grown bold enough to strike here, open a channel to the human vessel," Zurich commanded. As the connection established, they broadcast, "Captain Chen, this is High Commander Zurich. Your arrival coincides with an unprecedented attack on our territory. Why should we trust you?" "Because, High Commander," Chen replied, "what you're seeing isn't their main force. Our intelligence indicates this is just the advanced scout group. The real invasion fleet is coming, and neither of our civilizations can face it alone." As if to punctuate her words, the first Void Hunter missiles streaked across space toward the defense platform. The human vessel's surface rippled again, and suddenly a portion of its hull detached, forming a swarm of smaller craft that moved with impossible precision to intercept the missiles. "Those raiders out there," Chen continued, "they're running scared from something worse, something that's been pushing them into both our territories. We came here to warn you, to propose an alliance. Now we have a chance to prove our intentions through actions rather than words." Xerix watched as the human interceptors demonstrated maneuvers that should have been physically impossible, their nanite construction allowing them to literally flow around incoming fire while returning their own. It was beautiful and terrifying, much like humanity itself, based on their records. "You have temporary permission to engage hostile forces," Xerix declared, making a decision that would echo through history. "But know that any aggressive action toward Nexian assets will be met with immediate and overwhelming force." "Understood, High Commander," Chen replied, and Xerix could have sworn they heard a smile in the human's voice. "Let's show these raiders why they shouldn't have brought a fight to either of our doorsteps." As the battle began in earnest, Xerix couldn't help but wonder, was this the beginning of a powerful alliance, or the first step toward their civilization's greatest mistake? The answer, they suspected, would become clear all too soon. "This is only the beginning," Chen transmitted as her vessel's nanite swarms engaged the raiders with devastating efficiency. "The real test of trust between our peoples will come when you hear what we've discovered about who's really behind these attacks." Xerix's crystalline form pulsed with anticipation and dread. Whatever the humans had discovered, whatever had driven them to seek out the Nexians directly, it had to be significant enough to risk everything on this first contact. As they watched the battle unfold, Xerix prepared themselves for revelations that would change their understanding of the galaxy forever. The shared threat, the aftermath of battle, left an eerie quiet in its wake. Debris from the Void Hunter vessels drifted through space, their dark hulls now lifeless and cold. Inside the Nexian defense platform's primary conference chamber, High Commander Xerix studied the human delegation with careful attention. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the hastily assembled Nexian Council, her presence both commanding and diplomatically reserved. Unlike the crystalline forms of the Nexians, her solid body seemed almost primitive at first glance. But Xerix had watched her ship dance through space with impossible grace. They knew better than to underestimate these humans now. "The Void Hunters aren't your typical raiders," Chen began, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber's center. "They're refugees, running from something that terrifies them enough to make them desperate." The hologram showed a massive structure floating in deep space, its architecture defying conventional physics. It looked like a wound in reality itself, a construct that shouldn't exist yet somehow did. "3 months ago, we detected this," Chen continued. "It appeared at the edge of human space, consumed an entire star system, and vanished. We call them harvesters. They're not from our galaxy." The Nexian Council members' crystalline forms flickered with various colors of distress and disbelief. Xerix maintained their steady purple hue, but internally they felt a deep resonance of fear. "Impossible," declared Council Elder Mira, her ancient crystal form casting rainbow refractions across the chamber. "No civilization could consume an entire star system." Chen's expression remained grave. "We thought the same thing. Until we found this." She gestured, and the hologram changed to show a recording. A massive vessel, similar to the structure they'd seen before, emerged from what appeared to be a tear in space itself. As they watched, tendrils of dark energy reached out from the vessel, wrapping around a star. The recording ended with the star being pulled into the construct, leaving nothing but darkness behind. "The Void Hunters," Chen explained, "were once a peaceful species. They discovered the harvesters first, tried to fight them, and failed. Now they raid our territories not out of malice, but desperation. They're searching for weapons, resources, anything that might help them survive." Xerix's form pulsed with realization. The attack on our system wasn't random. They were after our quantum-fold technology. "Exactly," Chen nodded. Your quantum fold drives are more advanced than anything the Void Hunters have encountered. They believe it might be the key to escaping the harvesters. The chamber erupted in debate, crystalline voices resonating off each other in a cascade of concerned harmonies. Xerix noticed something in Chen's expression. She was holding something back. "There's more, isn't there, Captain?" Xerix prompted. Chen's face grew even more serious. "Yes, we've decoded enough of the Void Hunter's data to know the Harvester's next target." She manipulated the hologram one final time, showing a familiar star system. The Nexian home system. The chamber fell silent. Even the ambient crystalline harmonics that usually filled Nexian structures faded to nothing. "How long?" Xerix asked, their voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. 2 weeks, maybe less," Chen replied. "That's why we came directly to you. Why we risked everything on this first contact. Humanity has developed weapons that might be effective against the harvesters, but we need your quantum fold technology to deliver them effectively." Council Elder Mira's form darkened with suspicion. "Convenient that you appeared just when we faced this threat. How do we know this isn't an elaborate deception to gain access to our technology?" Chen's response was immediate and passionate. "Because we've already lost 2 colony systems to the harvesters. Because every simulation we've run shows that neither of our civilizations can survive this alone. And because," she paused, seeming to make a decision, "we've brought proof." She touched a control on her wrist, and suddenly the conference chamber sensors detected a new quantum signature. A small vessel appeared from cloak directly outside the defense platform's main viewport. Its hull was scared, its design clearly alien. Void Hunter construction. "A defector," Chen explained. "A Void Hunter scientist who's been helping us understand what we're facing. They're willing to share everything they know about the harvesters, including why they're here." Xerix moved closer to the viewport, studying the damaged Void Hunter vessel. "You took quite a risk, bringing them here after the battle we just fought." "Sometimes the biggest risks carry the highest rewards," Chen replied. "The Void Hunter scientist has information that changes everything we thought we knew about the harvesters. They're not just consuming stars and planets. They're consuming space itself, breaking down the fundamental laws of physics in our galaxy. And they're doing it because something even worse is chasing them." The revelation hit the chamber like a physical force. Xerix watched the council members' colors shift in waves of shock and fear. But beneath their own concern, they felt something else. Respect. The humans hadn't just come with warnings. They'd come with allies, evidence, and most importantly, hope. "Perhaps," Xerix said carefully, "we should hear what your Void Hunter scientist has to say. Then we can discuss the terms of our cooperation." Chen smiled, but it was a grim expression. "Thank you, High Commander. But I should warn you. What they're about to tell us will make you question everything you think you know about the nature of reality itself." As arrangements were made to bring the Void Hunter scientist aboard, Xerix couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The galaxy was about to change, and the alliance forming in this room would either be its salvation or witness to its end. The Void Hunter vessel began its docking procedures, and with it came the weight of revelations yet to come. Whatever truths lay ahead, one thing was certain. Humans and Nexians would face them together, or not at all. Trial by fire. The Void Hunter scientist's appearance shocked even the most seasoned Nexian diplomats. Where they had expected a creature of shadow and menace, they found instead a being of pure energy contained within an ancient environmental suit. Its voice, when it spoke through the translation matrix, carried the weight of centuries. "We were like you once," the scientist, who called itself Meridian, explained. "Physical beings of matter and chemical processes, until we found what lay between the spaces of reality." The assembled human and Nexian leaders watched as Meridian projected images directly from its consciousness. They showed a civilization at its height, reminiscent of both human and Nexian achievements. Then came the discovery, tears in spacetime, that led to something else. Something impossible. We called it the void current, Meridian continued. A stream of pure possibility flowing between universes. We learned to harness it, to transform ourselves. We thought we had become gods. Its energy form flickered with what might have been regret. We were fools. Captain Chen stepped forward, her expression intent. The harvesters followed the same path, didn't they? But they went further. Yes. Meridian's form pulsed with darkness. They found ways to consume entire realities, breaking down the barriers between dimensions. But they discovered something in the spaces between universes, something that hunts them now, as they hunt us. High Commander Zurich's crystalline form vibrated with concern. What could be worse than entities that devour entire star systems? Before Meridian could answer, the defense platform's alert systems screamed to life. First Observer Keela's voice cut through the chamber. Multiple quantum fold signatures detected. Harvester scout vessels emerging. Impossible, Chen breathed. They weren't supposed to be here for weeks. They followed me. Meridian's energy form contracted with what seemed like horror. They traced my vessel's void signature. I led them right to you. The chamber erupted in chaos, but Captain Chen's voice cut through it all. High Commander, permission to deploy the Handshake's defense systems. Zurich didn't hesitate. Granted. All Nexian defense forces to battle stations. What followed was unlike any battle in either species' history. The Handshake's nanite swarms flowed through space like liquid mercury, forming impossible geometries that somehow deflected the Harvester's energy weapons. Nexian quantum fold drives allowed their ships to appear and disappear across the battlefield with perfect precision, striking at the massive scout vessels from angles that shouldn't have existed. But the Harvesters were unlike anything they had faced before. Their ships seemed to bend reality around them, weapons firing beams of pure void that erased anything they touched from existence. Where those beams struck, space itself seemed to crack. The quantum fold drives, Meridian suddenly exclaimed. They're having an unexpected effect on the Harvester's void weapons. Chen and Zurich watched as a Nexian vessel's quantum jump intersected with a void beam. Instead of being erased, the beam seemed to refract, splitting into harmless fragments of dark energy. Of course, Chen's eyes lit up with understanding. Your quantum technology doesn't just move through space, it moves through possibilities. It's the perfect counter to their void manipulation. Zurich's form pulsed with sudden inspiration. Captain, if we modified your nanite swarms to carry quantum fold generators, they could deliver our weapons directly through the Harvester's void shields. Chen finished. Meridian, is it possible? The energy being's form expanded with excitement. Yes, the principle is sound. But you'll need to modify the quantum mechanics to account for the void current interference. What happened next demonstrated why humans and Nexians together were more than the sum of their parts. As the battle raged around them, Nexian quantum physicists worked alongside human nanite engineers, guided by Meridian's understanding of void technology. They weren't just different species working together. They were different ways of thinking, of seeing reality itself, combining to create something new. The first modified nanite swarm launched from a handshake like a wave of starlight. It quantum shifted through the Harvester's void shields as if they didn't exist, attaching to the massive ship's hull. The result was spectacular. The Harvester vessel's reality-bending field collapsed in on itself, crushing the ship into a singularity that quickly evaporated. It works, Chen exclaimed, but her victory was short-lived. More quantum fold signatures were appearing, larger ones this time. Those aren't scouts. Meridian's voice carried a tremor of fear. That's a full Harvester assault force. They know we found a way to hurt them. They'll do anything to stop us from developing this technology further. Zurich and Chen shared a look that transcended their biological differences. Both knew what had to happen next. All Nexian ships, Zurich's broadcast, upload the quantum fold modifications to the human vessels. Captain Chen, I suggest we show these Harvesters why they shouldn't have underestimated our species. Chen's smile was fierce. Couldn't agree more. High Commander, all ships, prepare for Joint Attack Pattern Alpha. Let's teach them what happens when they force humans and Nexians to work together. As the combined fleet moved to engage the Harvester force, Meridian watched with something like hope in its energy signature. Perhaps these younger races had found what the Void Hunters had lost so long ago, not just the technology to fight the Harvesters, but the wisdom to face the Void together rather than alone. The real battle was about to begin, and with it would come a test not just of their weapons or tactics, but of the very idea that different species could stand together against the darkness between realities. The fate of not just their galaxy, but of reality itself, hung in the balance. The hidden truth. Space itself seemed to scream as the Harvester assault force engaged the combined human-Nexian fleet. Their void weapons tore holes in reality, while quantum-modified nanite swarms danced through impossible dimensions to strike back. But something was wrong. They're not fighting at full capacity, Captain Chen observed, her eyes narrowing as she studied the tactical display. They're holding back. High Commander Zerix's crystalline form pulsed with agreement. Their attack pattern is defensive, almost as if they're buying time. Meridian finished, its energy form flickering anxiously. But for what? The answer came in the form of a massive quantum distortion that dwarfed anything they'd seen before. The sensors on both human and Nexian ships went wild as something began to emerge, not from normal space, not even from the void between realities, but from somewhere else entirely. By all that exists, Meridian's voice trembled. They've called them. The eternal hunger has found us. The thing that appeared defied description. It was as if a piece of anti-reality had torn its way into their universe. Where the Harvesters bent and consumed space, this entity simply negated it. Stars visible through its form didn't just disappear. They retroactively never existed. What are we looking at? Chen demanded, her voice steady despite the existential horror before them. The truth, Meridian replied. The reason the Harvesters flee. The reason they consume reality itself to fuel their escape. The eternal hunger doesn't just destroy, it unmakes. Everything it touches not only ceases to exist, but never existed at all. Zerix's form darkened with realization. The Harvesters aren't invaders. They're running. Everything they've done. Consuming stars. Destroying systems. It's all been to stay ahead of that thing. Yes, Meridian confirmed. My people understood too late. The Harvesters tried to warn us in their way. Their attacks weren't meant to destroy us, but to force us to evolve, to advance quickly enough to help fight the true enemy. On the tactical display, they watched as the Harvester ships began to move, but instead of attacking, they were taking up defensive positions around both the human and Nexian vessels. They're protecting us. Chen breathed in disbelief. A new signal cut through their communications, a transmission unlike anything they'd encountered. It took their combined translation systems several seconds to decode it. Children of matter, the Harvester message began. We have watched you find each other, watched you combine your understanding of space and possibility. You have in hours accomplished what we failed to teach others over centuries. Now you must listen, and quickly. The tactical display shifted, showing complex technical data streaming faster than any human or Nexian could process. But Meridian's energy form pulsed with excitement. This is incredible. They're showing us how to modify the quantum fold technology even further. With these changes, we could. Could what? Chen and Zerix asked simultaneously. We could create a weapon that doesn't just destroy the eternal hunger. It could rewrite the fundamental laws that allow it to exist. The implications were staggering. But before they could process this information, the entity made its move. Reality shuddered as it began to advance on their position, its very presence causing space-time to unravel. We don't have time to implement these modifications, Zerix stated, their crystalline form vibrating with urgent frequencies. Maybe we do. Chen's eyes lit up with an idea. Your quantum fold drives can manipulate time in small ways, right? and our nanite swarms can reconfigure matter at the subatomic level. If we combine them, Xyrix began, we could create a bubble of accelerated time around our research and development teams. Chen finished. Meridian's energy form pulsed with approval. Yes, and the harvesters can hold back the eternal hunger long enough to give you that chance. But there's something else you need to know. Its form dimmed slightly. The weapon will require a power source, unlike anything your civilizations have encountered. It will need a star, Chen guessed grimly. No, Meridian corrected. It will need the combined life force of a sentient species. One must sacrifice their entire civilization's consciousness to power the weapon. The command center fell silent. The weight of this revelation pressed down on all present like a physical force. The harvesters continued their desperate defense against the eternal hunger, buying them precious time to make an impossible choice. There's more, Meridian added quietly. The species that powers the weapon. Their sacrifice won't just end their existence. Like the eternal hunger's victims, they will never have existed at all. Every trace of their civilization, their history, their impact on the universe, all of it will be retroactively erased. Chen and Xyrix looked at each other, both understanding the magnitude of what they faced. They had found each other, learned to work together, even begun to trust each other. Now they had to decide which of their civilizations would choose to have never existed at all. The eternal hunger drew closer, its presence already beginning to fray the edges of their reality. Time itself was running out, and with it, the future of existence itself hung in the balance. There might be another way, Chen said suddenly, her eyes showing the kind of inspiration that had driven humanity from stone tools to the stars. But you're not going to like it. Unity's edge. Instead of sacrificing one species, Captain Chen explained, her eyes blazing with determination. What if we combine the consciousness of both our civilizations? High Commander Xyrix's crystalline form pulsed with surprise. The energy requirements would be even greater. But split between two species, Chen pressed on. And not to power a weapon, but to become something new. Something that could face the eternal hunger on its own terms. Meridian's energy form brightened with understanding. Of course, the harvester's data. It's not just weapon schematics. It's a transformation protocol. They weren't telling us how to destroy the eternal hunger. They were showing us how to transcend our current forms, Xyrix finished. To evolve beyond the limitations of physical reality. The tactical display showed the harvester fleet taking heavy losses as they held back the eternal hunger. Time was running out, but what Chen proposed was unprecedented. To merge not just technology, but the very consciousness of two entirely different species. The nanite swarms. Chen continued, they're already capable of storing and transferring consciousness, and your quantum fold drives can manipulate the fabric of reality itself. Together we could create a new state of existence, Xyrix completed. Neither human nor Nexian, but something that could exist in the spaces between realities. Meridian's form pulsed with excitement. Yes, this is what the harvesters were trying to achieve with their attacks, pushing species to advance, to understand, to be ready for this moment. But no single civilization was ever able to make the leap alone. A massive shockwave rocked their ships as another harvester vessel sacrificed itself to block an attack from the eternal hunger. The void of unreality crept closer, erasing stars that had burned for billions of years. If we do this, Xyrix cautioned, there's no going back. Our species as they exist now will end. We'll become something else entirely. But we'll still exist, Chen countered. Our histories, our achievements, our influence on the universe, it will all remain. And together, we might be strong enough to drive back the eternal hunger not just from our galaxy, but from all realities. The command center erupted in urgent activity as both human and Nexian crews began the modifications. Meridian's knowledge, combined with the harvester's data, guided their work. The Handshake's nanite swarms merged with Nexian quantum technology, creating something that had never existed before, a bridge between states of reality. All ships reporting ready, announced First Observer Keela. The consciousness transfer protocols are initialized. The harvesters are falling back, reported another officer. They're forming a barrier between us and the eternal hunger, buying us time. Chen and Zurich shared one final look, human eyes meeting crystalline sensors in perfect understanding. Everything their species had been through, every challenge they had faced, had led them to this moment. Begin the transformation, they ordered simultaneously. What followed defied description in any physical language. The combined consciousness of humanity and the Nexian Confederation flowed through the quantum-enhanced nanite networks. But they didn't simply merge. They evolved, transcended, became something new. Where once there had been ships crewed by separate species, now there was a unified consciousness that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They could see the eternal hunger for what it truly was, not a destroyer, but a fundamental force of reality trying to maintain balance in a multiverse that had grown too complex. The newly transformed beings reached out not with weapons, but with understanding. They touched the void between realities not as invaders, but as mediators. The eternal hunger paused in its advance, encountering for the first time something it could neither destroy nor unmake, because this new consciousness existed everywhere and everyone simultaneously. The harvesters, watching from their defensive positions, witnessed something they had spent eons trying to achieve: the birth of a species that could exist in harmony with all levels of reality, that could maintain the balance without destruction. In that moment of contact between the transformed human Nexian consciousness and the eternal hunger, understanding flowed both ways. The hunger that drove the entity wasn't malevolent. It was the multiverse's immune system, trying to prevent the collapse of reality itself. But now, with the emergence of this new form of existence, there was another way. The beings that had once been human and Nexian spread through the quantum fabric of space-time, creating a new network of consciousness that could regulate the flow of reality without the need for destruction. The eternal hunger, recognizing a force that could maintain balance without unmaking, began to withdraw. The harvesters, their long mission finally complete, initiated their own transformation, joining the new consciousness in its work of maintaining multiversal harmony. Meridian, watching as its former enemies became part of something greater than any single species could have achieved, felt its energy form pulse with joy. This, it broadcast to the few remaining physical observers, this is what evolution truly means. Not the survival of the fittest, but the union of the willing. In the space where the battle had raged, reality stabilized. The new consciousness, carrying within it every memory, every achievement, every dream of both humanity and the Nexian Confederation, spread through the cosmos. They had not sacrificed their existence, but transcended it, becoming guardians of a multiverse they were only beginning to understand. And in the depths of space, on countless worlds throughout reality, new civilizations looked up at their skies and wondered about their place in the cosmos. When they were ready, when they had learned to reach across the divisions of species and work together, they would find not destruction waiting for them, but invitation, a chance to join something greater than themselves. The story of humanity and the Nexians became legend, told across 1,000,000 realities, not as a tale of sacrifice, but as proof that the greatest achievements come not from standing alone, but from reaching across the void to join hands with the unknown. In choosing to face the ultimate threat together, they had become something entirely new, proof that evolution's greatest leaps come not from competition, but from cooperation. In the end, they had not merely survived. They had shown the universe itself a new way to exist.